Welcome to our presentation on the Literature Review, Building a Foundation for Your Research. The Literature Review is an integral part of the research process. This presentation will help you understand where the Literature Review fits in this process, what it involves, and how to write your own literature review. The research process usually begins with a research question. The researcher will conduct a literature review to identify other research that relates to the research question. A literature review entails examining sources like scholarly books, journal articles, conference proceedings, and dissertations.
The researcher identifies what is already known about his or her research question in order to build upon existing knowledge. Once the literature review foundation is built, the researcher can make more informed choices about how he or she will study the subject, design a research method, collect and analyze data, present findings, and reflect on what has been learned. The literature review not only refers to the process of reviewing relevant research on your topic, it also refers to the write-up you do of your findings. When reading scholarly articles and books, you have probably noticed that researchers devote a portion of their pieces to discussing previous research on their topic. Even when it is not identified as a literature review, this component is usually present. The literature review, or review of literature, is an important component of research papers written in the humanities, sciences, and social sciences. It contains an overview of previous research, theories, and methodologies that apply to the researcher's main question.
Here are some ways of thinking about the literature review. You are reviewing previous research on your topic before carving out a niche where your research fits. Or you're mapping the previous research territory before claiming your space in it or expanding it. The write-up of the literature review accomplishes a few things. First, it contains an overview of previous research, theories, and methodologies that apply to the researcher's main question. It also summarizes individual sources consulted and draws connections between them, noting larger patterns or trends. Perhaps most importantly, it identifies gaps in the previous research that the new research seeks to fill. Finally, it provides foundation and support for the new insights the researcher's work will contribute.
This is the basic structure of many articles, theses, and dissertations. The literature review comes early after the introduction. This way, the reader enters the write-up of the new findings with some knowledge of the previous research on the topic. This is a sample table of contents from a dissertation. Chapter 2 is a literature review. Notice how the writer has organized this chapter under separate headings. It can be useful to break down the literature review into separate sections. Just make sure to provide an introduction that helps the reader understand why you consulted each area of research and how they are tied together.
The structure of your article, thesis, or dissertation may depend on your discipline. Some disciplines may not follow the structure presented in the previous slides at all. However, many of the basic elements that have been presented will usually appear in some form in a piece of research writing. The length, amount of detail, and number of sources cited in your literature review may also depend on the type of research writing you're doing, whether it's an article, thesis, or dissertation, and the topic. The literature review is not just a summary of sources, but a synthesis and discussion. Therefore, strong organization is key. You need to think about presenting your material in a way that will best shape your argument and make sense to your readers. Though the structure can differ by discipline or topic, the basic sections are often similar and include an introduction, main body, and conclusion. The introduction should provide a concise definition of the topic under consideration, as well as the scope of the literature being investigated. In this section, you should also note any intentional exclusions, state the general findings of the review, and comment on the availability of sources in the subject area.
The main body should be organized chronologically, thematically, or methodologically. Your choice of organization often depends on the topic and sources being used. Each source should be summarized and evaluated for its contribution to the ongoing research conversation about your topic. The most important component in this section is the synthesis of your findings, which can be done by comparing and contrasting, critically evaluating and interpreting, and/or addressing inconsistencies, omissions, gaps, and errors. The summary, evaluation, and synthesis should flow comfortably within your chosen organization style. The conclusion summarizes the key findings of the review in general terms. Be sure to note any important commonalities and/or disparities between your works. Here, you must also justify your research proposal by showing where your research fits and how it provides a valuable contribution to an ongoing conversation related to your topic and research question. Basically, what gaps did you find and how does your research fill it?
As noted earlier, the most important component of a literature review is synthesis. You must bring your sources into conversation with each other. You can achieve this by using logical transitions to connect sources and signal phrases to introduce sources. Here are a few tips for a successful literature review. Focus on summarizing and synthesizing. Do not overquote. Credit your sources using in-text citations and in-citations.
A literature review goes beyond simple source summary, and as your goal is to show the discussion that is happening concerning your topic. To do this, you must synthesize your sources. Therefore, it is imperative to know the difference between summary and synthesis. Summary provides the main idea and main points of a source in a concise form. Synthesis creates original insights, perspectives, and understandings by reflecting on how the sources consulted fit together. Though most academic writings require a strong mix of summary, paraphrase, and quotation, the literature review only uses quotation sparingly, relying more heavily on paraphrase in order to convey ideas and demonstrate understanding on the part of the writer. Where quotation takes words or passages directly from the source and places them in quotation marks, paraphrase is the writer's own rewording of a passage written or spoken by someone else, often to increase clarity. Both quotations and paraphrases require a citation.
Please visit the Toulouse Graduate School website to find more resources to help you with your literature review. You may also visit the Willis Library website and visit the databases that contain sample dissertations and theses so that you can review the structure of these types of documents and look at how the literature review is set up. Finally, if you'd like to have help reviewing your literature review or just discussing how you're going to organize it, please contact us at the UNT Writing Lab to make an appointment with a graduate writing tutor.